Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner, Classic, Non-Classic. This is episode number 3051, Doubleshot number 2945. We got two DC books here. First up we have is Superboy, Volume 4, Issues 66 to 79. I was thinking to do issue 80, but that's sort of a new storyline to that one. And plus we're also doing Secret Origins here. We'll discuss that in a bit. So, for the first few issues here, it is pretty much basically Superboy reunited with the characters he interacted with. Basically, the characters who originally are the regular universe versions of characters who appeared in Commandi books. He reunites with them, and that's kind of the story of the first few issues here. As we read all these anal people that we have here. Yep, and this lasts for a few issues. Yeah, it lasts for a good like 4 or 5 issues, I think it was. We still have Karl Kesel on the writing here, with Aaron Lepsy on the artwork. We get the first appearance of Genome. Yes. It's nice the fact that Karl Kesel reunited with these characters again. Oh yeah, and then by the way, the first issue part ended with King Shark returning to the series. Yes, King Shark. By the way, there's a guy called Captain Kark here, which is so funny. King Shark, he had not been seen in a little while in the book. Yes, those of you curious, when was the last time he appeared in this book? He last appeared in this book back in 32. Actually, it was actually issue 42. Yeah, 42. Actually, it may have been 32. It was part of the whole thing with the. It was all stuff related to the Suicide Squad stuff. Yeah, it's like he just shows up here, and of course Superboy has to stop because it's his old enemy, and then we get tied up with the whole Day of Judgment that would have Superboy take an Etrigan and Demon for a single issue. And they make visit to Hawaii for an issue where apparently he has been replaced. Yes, as the new superhero. Yeah, and they land the Volkswagen middle like this neighborhood. By the way, we have this new girl named Sterling Rockhook. Yeah, she made a debut in issue 56. And she was the head of genetics division. Now, she basically became a recurring character in this book. Starting with issue 56, becoming a supporting character. And she's here until basically toward the end of the book. Oh yeah, and also she actually developed feelings for Superboy. Also, his friend Sam Muka, who's the head of the crimes division for Hawaii, which when he first issued, and he's like, "Yep, still am," which, yeah, got the fact he wasn't gone very long. No, by the way, this would sadly be Sam Muka's his last appearance in Superboy. Yeah, first time appearance in issue 49, and this would be his final appearance. Why in the world they retired the character? My guess is because they probably got changed the status quo book because they wanted Superboy move back to Metropolis because they probably thought his days in Hawaii were over, so that's probably the reason why they decided to have a brief return here for a standalone issue. And also, he has this place called the Compound, which is something he was living in, which I believe this issue was also its final appearance as well. Yes, it was. You could think of issue 69 as Superboy's one return. And also we have a brief return here by Knockout, who's still in the same position with of being suspended. Yes. Yeah, and she had not appeared in Superboy since issue 49. Was it 49 last time she appeared? Yeah, that was last time she appeared, 49. She pops up here again for this issue. Not seen again until issue 92 of the book. And this guy called Kana. He kind of is basically Superboy's replacement. We have Tom Gremmett on the co-writing artwork here. And then again, a storyline began issue So 70 to 74 is a 5-parter, which basically is the agenda taking over Cadmus. Well, yeah, it's basically the big epic storyline that I'm sure Karl Kesel wanted to do for quite some time. This is basically the big build up here. The agenda is back here. First time in a while. Excuse me, yes. And also we do some clones here. Yes, because basically, well, we got those clones. We didn't really clone of his old girlfriend. By the way, Roxy, who basically had a crush on him. Yeah, she stopped appearing in the book. And somehow Contessa is part of the group too. You know, likely his wife. And of course, basically, Superboy fights back and takes back the facility. But toward the end of the storyline, where Superboy reunites with his old girlfriend, Tina Moon. Yeah, she makes a return here. And then, sadly put, she dies. Yep. Yeah, because they kind of had a million goop. So she dies in 74. They have a funeral the very next issue. It's like, okay, so we bring her back in this book, first time since issue 53, just to have her die. I don't get that. Yeah, I don't get of exactly why in the world that. And by the way, that's all more clones of Superboy here. And then we have her die here. You know, the girl who actually Superboy liked. And also, there was stuff here with the Young Justice. They had just shown up. Yeah, they basically, I think around the time these issues came out, probably around the same time Young Justice started. So, they were integrating them into the book. So, and then right after the story arc here, then begins basically, well, by the way, 75, the first appearance of Doc Angel. Yeah, it was part of a very brief storyline. Where, by the way, we had the final appearance of the Wildmen. Yes, characters first appeared in issue 50. Yeah, they got retired with this issue. So, this, by the way, they had it where, if you read the book, the Sentence to You storyline took place between issues 74 and 75. So, not only Superboy mourning the death of his former girlfriend, he's also lost his powers. Yeah, so for the next 2 issues, he has no powers. He apparently got training from the Guardian to continue fighting. He's even has his own shield with an S on it. That's kind of what he does for the next 2 issues. Like, so a brand new era, Superboy with no powers. But my guess is Karl Kesel wasn't allowed to keep the story very long because he's a super book. He needs to have superpowers. So in his final issue, he gets his powers back thanks to some gas, which gets his powers back. One of the devices made for him was given to Guardian, who was injured, and previously he lost his shield. So he also, get this, inside of his gauntlet, when he had the shield pop out, he has Legion flight ring in there. He can still fly, but he couldn't exactly, use the ring of super strength he usually had. So when he gave the gauntlet to Guardian, he took the Legion ring out, but it's a gift for him, but he wants to continue training him. And then also, Sterling hooks up with Superboy. She kisses him, and then that's when he reunites with Tina. Then it doesn't go much anywhere, but I think that Sterling had a thing for him, and she's around for a good period of time after this. But that is pretty much in the way the end of Karl Kessel's time book. Excuse me. I gotta say, the man had a fantastic run on this title. Oh yes. Yes, he did. He did an amazing job with this book. Yeah, it's a shame, basically, he decided to leave. Like, he did initially put this actually was his second run of the book. His first run was the first 30 issues. He left, and then he came back for issue 50, and was here until basically 70. He does go back for 100, though. This is the last regular issue he would write for the series. Also, the new villain, Kesel the Silver, who looks like basically the Slaver. Yeah, he gets defeated at the end of the storyline. And yeah, after the storyline, he's never seen again. They even mentioned after this. Oh, and Roxy? Oh, yeah, Roxy. She was the girl who had a crush on Superboy, which didn't go much anywhere because she did confess his feelings for him. Excuse me, she confessed her feelings for him, but she kind of turned out because he was dating Tina at the time. But she was kind of brought back into the book first since issue 58. And she's around a little bit after this on the new creative team, and then she doesn't do much after this. Yeah, I don't get of the reason why she doesn't do a lot of anything after this particular story wraps up. Yeah, I don't get it. I honestly don't get of why you had this great character, Roxy, and then, like, with the very next run, it's like, oh, all these cool characters, with the exception of Doubleshot, who actually resigned as head of genetics. With the exception of him, practically all these original characters in this book had been written out the series because new direction. And plus, also, Karl Kesel wasn't writing the book anymore. Despite the fact we had Ron Martz basically in between his runs. But Karl Kesel had an excellent head with the book. I'm going to give Superboy Volume 4, issue 7679, 8/10 out of 10. Next up, basically, we're going to discuss a series known as Secret Origins. We're going to kind of, in a way, discuss the first 25 issues, the 3 annuals, and the special. And you think, why discussing 25 issues? Well, there's a reason for that. Because some of these ones basically contain, they're split books, and I've discussed, with the exception of one issue here, I've discussed the B stories, but basically the backups. I have not discussed the A story. And the previous issues I had discussed here are the first 25 I'm discussing here. If I can get the thing, I can move here. It is mostly put just issues now 12. I discussed the A story when I discussed, I think it was something related to Incorporated. Yes. So, and also the first annual, which basically that one I discussed the opening story for that one because that was part of Doom Patrol stuff. So these ones of the issues was discussed. These ones discussed the B stories, the backups. 7, 9, 15, 16, 18, 24, and 25. So in a way, I am only discussing the first full stories, the first 6 issues. Let's see if I find it quick here. Okay, here we go. It is mostly put issues 1, 3, through 6, 8, 10, 12, and these are the full ones. 17, 19, 21 to 23. These ones, I've only discussed the backups, the B stories. 7, 9, 15, 16, 18, 20, 24, and 25. A lot of these were mainly discussed in the trade last days of the Just Side America. Now, a lot of these stories here featuring Golden Age characters are written by Roy and Dan Thomas, and they're usually just there's retellings of the origin story. The first issue is a retelling of Action Comics #1, which is the debut of Superman. Which, by the way, the art is of Wayne Boring and Jerry Ordway. Which most is presented pretty much the same way, except we have Superman in his post-Flashpoint costume. Yeah. And it's a mixture of Action Comics #1 and more Fun Comics #1. With a little bit of modern 80s stuff. That's mostly where you can see the first issue is. The retelling of those two issues. And one big difference is because in the original story, Action Comics #1, the car he smashed against the rock was actually green. Here it's red. Which, little fun fact, they had it where in the Bendis run, the woman who bought Daily Planet, she bought this car and kept it as a tribute to herself. Kept in her office. Skipping straight to issue #3, we have the origin of character Shazam, written by Roy Thomas and art by Jerry Bingham. This issue, mostly put, is a really good retelling of, I think it was Wiz Comics #2, which is the debut of Captain Marvel. It mostly presented the same, except with the 80s style artwork, and that's mostly what this issue is. You also get a chance to take on Dr. Savannah, like in the original story. A little more different presentation here with this one, so there's that. Moving to issue 4. Sorry about that. Oh my freaking god. Alright, 4 is the... it's basically the origin of Firestorm. Yes. A part of thinking, is this written by Jerry Conway? No, it's not. Actually, it is. But not Al Mogren. Al Mogren does not do the artwork here. This is done by George DaCosta, classic artist here. Now, this most put is not exactly a backstory of Firestorm. People probably do know how he was created. It is mostly put. It's basically the origin of Professor Martin Stein. Like, we get a flashback how he first met his wife, and it's Firestorm basically seeing everything related to him. So he meets up. There's this blonde girl who eventually is some fighting here. Then he gets dragged up by this woman with black hair. And this is something you would not see published in the 60s. A couple in bed together. Yeah, you would not see that at all in the 60s. Nope. Because the taste probably at the time, you would not see this. Despite the fact these two at this point are a married couple. So it's perfectly fine here. 80s, this is fine. I did hear a story once where Contessa, the one who was from Marvel Comics, where the writer basically would do a line show cleavage, but any time was set to the Comic Code Authority, they had it removed. Despite the fact that's perfectly natural for a woman to have. And also when they show her and Nick Fury making out, they decided a close-up of his gun for some reason. It was the 60s, it was really weird. And then she left him, which was mentioned in the main book. So this is just expanding upon what was mentioned in the main book, which later led to the creation of Firestorm. That's mostly exactly what issue 4 is. 5 is the retelling of I'm thinking this. I've never read this story at all. Unlike in the case of the other ones, I have read it. This one I have not. This is the retelling of the origin story of the Crimson Avenger from the Tactic Comics #1, written by Roy Thomas and Dan Thomas with Gene Colan in the artwork. And the story, mostly put, is a mixture of like Greenhorn and the Shadow. But my guess is without the sensibilities of the time, of the 30s. And I'm sure when it was first published, they had some racist overtures, basically, at that point. Yeah, so I'm guessing this is the retelling of Tactic Comics #1. The original Comics #1. And no, in case you're curious, though, Batman makes his debut in the first issue, he debuted his debut in issue 27. Yeah. Oh, and they even have here in the back of the issue here, they had basically a... This cover here, this was the, from Tactic Comics 22, the only cover appearance of the Crimson Avenger. Moving on to issue number 6. This issue here is the first split book of the series. Now, there's two stories now. One is Halo, which is written by one of her co-creators, Mike W. Barr, and you have Dick Giordano on the artwork. And then you had another story done by Roy Thomas and Marsha Rogers. And Terry Austin does the Golden Age Batman story. The Batman one is awesome. Though, mostly put, this is not the original costume what he wore in Tactic 27. That one, he wore purple gloves. This, mostly put, is that retelling. It's a retelling of Tactic Comics 27 and 33 because the opening pages here are from 33. Basically, it's origin how the Waynes were killed, his training, and how he became what he was. Though they don't do that funny thing of him lifting up weights and just living there. And him meeting Juliet Madison, who becomes his fiance. Yeah. And it feels like basically that. And then, of course, we had... Then, by page number 14, now it becomes Detective Comics 27. Yes. This is where we get to Comics 27. Basically, because the first, 13 pages from 33 and maybe from Julian Madison's debut appearance, minus the whole thing with the Mad Vampire. So you have this murder. Of course, Bruce Wayne is here. Of course, he's smoking it because he was smoking in the original story. Despite the fact by the 80s he had stopped doing that. So my guess is probably the reason why that Roy Thomas probably had the artist kept this in, because it's basically a retelling of the Golden Age Batman's origin story. Despite the fact he's wearing the 80s costume. I don't get it. But mostly put, it's just a really good retelling of the story. Lots of expansion. Oh my gosh. They had a bunch of new artwork here. Where it felt like basically it felt like we had a little more open space here in the panels to expand a lot of stuff here. And the artwork here is really, really good. Now, in case you're wondering, does it have more where Batman shows someone off the edge? Yes, it does. And then we have something that looks like it's not from Tactic 27, it's looking for some different issue. And then the backup story is all about Halo. It is mostly put basically how she... And but we also have Looker here before. This is pre-vampire Looker based upon her attire. Because in Volume 2 she became a vampire, has to be bitten by another vampire. So this basically is like her origin story and basically about her life prior to becoming Halo. And the book ends with basically her getting a brand new costume. Which I don't remember her wearing in the main book. Now moving on to issue number 7. Now this is the first of several issues where we're discussing just the opening story, not the backup. Now, the opening story here is written by Steve Eckhart and Ernie Cullen. This one is mostly put just a... Well, it's just a retelling of Showcase number... I think this was issue 8, I think it was, debut of Green Lantern. Plus, we also have the origin of Guy Gardner in this issue. And, of course, the story Leads and Legends. The backup story, as we discussed already in in, of all things, the JSA book. Now, moving on to issue number 8. 8 is basically talks about Shadowlass and Dollman. Shadowlass is from Legion Superheroes, written by Paul Levitz, Tom Mandrake. Dollman is basically a Golden Age superheroes by the Freedom Fighters, written by Roy Thomas and Murphy. And this is another one I did not read a debut story here. Dollman is from Quality Comics, who DC decided to make part of Freedom Fighters. This multiple is basically his backstory. Like, it's a retelling of his origin story. I don't know what book it was in. Shadowlass is just probably, from what I can tell, just an expansion of what we saw in Legion Superheroes. But it's an excellent story. Oh, a little fun fact. Shadowlass, basically, in the pre-Zero version of her, she married Mon-El. Yep. Issue 9. This one, there's another one, basically, where I have to skip the backup story because, well, we discussed already. The opening story is set during the Infinite Incorporated's book. Yep. It is mostly a retelling of his origin from, I think it was from Sparksman Comics number 7, I think it was. Yes. That's most what it is, but it's a really good retelling. I may not read it, but I do know what book he debuted in. Next up we have issue number 10. This one's all about the Phantom Stranger. And this book is also a Legends tie-in. Yes! Issue of Legends. It's one of 2 crossovers this book was tied into. Now, the opening story is on Mike W. Barr and Jim Aparo. These are just 4 stories just involving Phantom Stranger, which are really good. Second story is by Paul Levitz and Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. They did the second story here. The third story looks like about some future stuff here. This one is done by Dan Muschke and Earl Cullen. The final story, Footsteps, is done by Alan Moore. Yep. It's a good issue. Go Phantom Stranger. Come on, seriously, I hate when it does this. Alright, we'll show up another one basically where I skipped the backup story for this one. The opening story here is basically written by Paul Kupperberg. It's all about Power Girl. This mostly put is her, from what I can tell, it is a retelling of her origin story that was told by Jerry Conway in the pages of All-Star Comics. I think it was issue number 7. I'm surprised Jerry Conway didn't write this one. Yeah. Where it was like that first, and then we. It looks like, I think this is the one where they retcon the whole thing where she was like Atlantean. Yeah, which, in my opinion, I wasn't really a fan of this origin story for her. Moving to issue 12. 12, where this is the one where I discussed the opening story already. This is the one about Golden Age Fury. The backup story is about the Challengers, the Unknown. Yep. Now, you're probably thinking, does Jack Kirby have a hand in this story? No, he does not. This one basically is by Mike Ever, with artwork by Chris Patton. It is mostly put just them remembering their day appearance from, excuse me, I think it was, I remember this year's Showcase, I think it was, yes. Yeah, I think it was this year's Showcase. It's just a retelling of that, but no different art style here, but in my honest opinion, Jack Kirby got a chance to do this one. 13 to 14. And I think for these 2 issues here, don't worry, I'm going to wrap this up soon. 13, 14. Okay, 13. This one, okay, 13, 14, I have read these 2 issues already, so we're going to skip straight to issue number 17 here. Excuse me. Now, the opening story of 15 is all about Dead Man, written by Andrew Helfer. Yep. Is this basically a retelling of Dead Man's origin story? Yes, it is. It's a retelling of, I think it was like Strange Adventures. I think it was 205, I think it was. Yeah. Moving on to issue 16. This was 16. The opening story is basically all about Warlord. Plus, they have the secret origin of Amazing Man. Now, surprisingly, this Warlord story is... I was kind of surprised when I saw this again. This is not done by Mike Grell. He's the one who created the character. I'm surprised he get a chance to do this story. This is another Michael Fisher, Iron Kubert's in the artwork. This, mostly put, is a retelling of basically his debut appearance from first issue special number 10, which was the only book that actually led to an actual ongoing series of the character. Really good here. Now moving on to issue 17. 17 basically has the retellings of the origin stories for Adam Strange and Dr. Occult. The Adam Strange one is done by Jerry Conway and Carmen Infantino. Dr. Occult is done by Roy Thomas. Adam Strange, this is mostly put from his Adam Strange's debut appearance from Mystery Space number 17. This basically opening story here is just a retelling of that, and I've been reading somewhere where apparently when he first showed up on their home, basically when we saw Rand, he couldn't understand what people said. He kind of been taught a language course fellow Melina along the way. It's really good. And of course, we see the debut of his outfit here. I think they did slightly update it here for the 80s, but yeah, it's the same outfit. And Dr. Colt, this is done by you have E. Nelson Breville on the artwork, on the co-writing here with Howard Simpson. Dr. Colt, old school supernatural detective. I don't know when he first showed up. I know this is a retelling of his origin story, but just a really good story here. Don't worry, we're gonna end this soon. Don't worry about that. Issue 18, another one where I think I have covered the backup story for this one already. Yes, I have. Now Andrew Helfer does the Creeper story here. Yep. Now you're thinking the Creeper. Of course, I'm glad the fact they do credit Steve Ditko here. I kind of wish Steve Ditko did this one. Why Helfer? Though you have Keith giving the artwork, and this is just really bizarre artwork. Of course, it's the Creeper. And my guess is Steve Ditko must have proved this because his artwork does fit probably similar style that Steve Ditko's did. Where you might be asking, is this a retelling of his debut appearance? Yes, Showcase 73. That's most what this is. So, my only problem with the issue is you should have Steve Ditko do it. Issue number 19. Is this one basically where skip backup story? No, do the whole thing. The two stories here, one featuring Uncle Sam. Another freedom fighter. This is written by Lean Ween, art by Brant Anderson. The Guardian story is, well, a retelling of Star Spring Comics number 1. Written by Roy Thomas, obviously. Which was first Uncle Sam. Of course, they even actually credit this one. Okay, so based on stories by Will Eisner and Lou Fain from Uncle Sam number 1 and National Comics number 145. That's... Oh, it's Murphy, it's not Brant Anderson. Yeah. We're just the adaptation of that story there. Now, of course, also, this is basically from Star Spring... Oh, this is... Okay, so it's based upon the origin Star Spring Comics number 1 and this material from All-Star Squadron in number 1. And the artwork is on Arvil Jones. Like, really cool here. Next we move to issue 20. Now, is this another one where... Oh, I've discussed the backup story already? Yes, I have this one. This one, well, I discussed backup story with focus on Dr. Midnight. I'm actually surprised that I didn't discuss when it comes to Batgirl. Yeah, Batgirl has a story in here written by Bob Randall, a.k.a. Barbara Ketzler, and Rick Lerner on the artwork. This mostly I think is set, now is this a retelling of Origins story from Comics 367? Not really, no. It is mostly put just a story with her where it just deals with Barbara Gordon's backstory of how she first became Batgirl, and of course they had sort of accepted. They all mentioned her running for Congress. This, of course, is pre-crisis version of Barbara Gordon, because post-crisis she never did this. It's mostly just a bridge retelling of Batgirl's Bronze Age stuff. Moving on to issue 21. This is the first of 3 in a row where both stories. Jonah Hex by Michael Fisher, and Black Condor by Roy Thomas, another freedom fighter. Now, you might be thinking, Jonah Hex, Michael Fisher. Now, I like maybe like 1 or 2 of these characters. Now, was Jonah Hex, was this story here? Now, was this one done by one of his co-creators? Nope. It's just another story that features him. It is just... they've written him as a consulting historian. This is the guy who created the... like, it makes sense that he would do Jonah Hex, because I think he did do the ongoing. Let me take a look. I think he did the ongoing. Yes, he did. He did the ongoing for the character. Yeah, he was being read the book, so made sense he would do this issue here. Yep. So yeah, it is just a story for Jonah Hex. It is not to retell his origin story, but just a typical Jonah Hex story. And the Black Condor one is definitely an adaptation of one of his previous issues. This is... okay, so this is from Crack Comics #1. How about that? Nope, never read it. Yeah, it just basically retelling Black Condor, so it's okay. But nice character should be more interesting, we'll discuss later. Next up is Secret Origins #22, where we have telling the origin. We basically retell the stories for Dan Richards, the original Phantom, original Manhunter, Mark Shaw. For Mark Shaw stuff, it's from his debut appearance from first issue special #5. His stuff from Justice League America, stuff from Millennium. I thought it was really good here. Now, it's written by Dan and Roy Thomas. Dan Thomas, art by Howard Sampson. Yeah. So first, actually, it's on the Manhunter robots. Yep, that's basically we start first. The Manhunter robots, basically their backstory. And then we do, so, Chapter 1. So, really, it takes place before Millennium. This is a Millennium tie-in. Yeah, and, Paul Kirk, basically, it's from his debut from Blaze Comics up until his death from Detective back in the 70s. And as for 23... 23 is another Millennium tie-in, where it's all about the backstory of Lockman, a.k.a. Jason Woodrow, and the Guardians universe. Guardians is done by Tom Keene, artwork by Jonathan Pearson. It's the whole thing with the Guardians universe. This is basically a prologue into the new Guardians book. That's kind of what this book is. Yep. As for the other story in here, which is basically all about Flogman, it's not necessarily about his origin story, just him interacting with the Batman villains, like Clayface III, Joker, Scarecrow, Two-Face, this stuff with Adam. It's kind of like retelling stuff he was doing prior to this one, but it's also focused on Killer Croc too. And don't worry, we're almost done here with the main issues. For 24 and 25, discuss backup stories as ones. 24, this is all about the, well, I really wish I stopped doing it. Anyways, so that's going to wind up. Don't worry, we're almost done. Almost done. So, for 24, the opening story by Dan Mushkin. This is basically just a retelling of, well, Blue Devil's debut appearance. As 25, the last one, we'll discuss regular issues. This one, basically, where we're going to talk about the Legion superheroes. We're by Paul Levitt. This is basically about Legion's, well, common retelling of their how they first came together. That's kind of what the issue is, but it's really good. But next up, let's discuss the 3 annuals. Now, the opening story discussed already thanks to the whole Bronze Age omnibus for Doom Patrol. The backup story here is all about Captain Comet. This is a retelling of his debut appearance from Strange Adventures 9 through 10, where he originally looked like this. An astronaut character became immortal. That's kind of what the issue is here. And number 3, briefly summarize it, it's basically a retelling of Teen Titans history from their debut from the 60s up until we see them in New Teen Titans. That was done by multiple artists. Oh my gosh, lots of artists. In number 2, it's basically the telling the backstories for Wally West and Barry Allen. Barry is done by Robert Lauren Fleming, Carmen Fantino. Makes sense because our current team drew a lot of stories. Wally's one is done by William Messner-Loebs. Wally's is first, surprisingly, where, by the way, the book is done by Frank McCoolin and Donald. It's done by Mike Collins. It's not exactly it's Wally basically telling his origin story to somebody. That's kind of what the story is. I'm going to tell you, he actually really enjoyed this one. And after the flashback stuff, in the case of the Barry one, it is just a retelling of Showcase number 4. As for the special, this is mostly put to talk about Batman's villains. Two-Face, the Riddler, and the Penguin. That's kind of what we have here. And then we're going to end with this one here. So, by the way, the A number 3, that is written by George Perez. Here's your artists: Tom Gremmett, Grant Mitchum, Iron Novik, Travis Von Eden, Mike Blair, Dave Cockrum, Ken McGuire, Mark Bright, and Colleen Doran. That's who does this book here. The annual number 2. But as for the special itself, this one is now Killer Peck. Now, Original Sins focus on Galaxy Communication. It's all focused on the Joker, as account by John Constantine. This one is basically written by Neil Gaiman, art by Mike Hoffman. Killing Peck. That's basically about the origin story of the Penguin. One is Adore, the origin of Riddler. Also one for Two-Face. Yeah, who writes these ones? Kelly Bucks from Alan Grant and Sam Keith. Neil Gaiman does One is Adore, Secret of the Riddler. And Two-Face is done by Mark Vernhen and Pat Broderick. And that's it. Yes, that is it to discuss here. Oh my gosh, that was a lot of books to discuss. Yes, a lot of books. Sorry it took so long, but I give the Secret Origins issues a 10 out of 10. Okay, so that's it. So love you. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do not hit this like button. I apologize for the lengthy video, but I had a lot to discuss here. So Next video will be, well, the girl receptionist one. Okay, next video. Bye.